Well, because you're not a trader, you're an investor.
Just sell your GME.
I sold shares on Friday. I wasn't even paying attention. Put in a sell limit, went to work.
5 o'clock. Let's go, baby.
No trades yet.
Let's fucking go, kitty.
Got some trades at 27.50 to open. I'm Sean, I'm Polly, I'm Echo, and Chuck is somewhere in Mexico looking for the naked shorts.
He could be like, I'm Chuck.
GameStop can be a catalyst not only for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin can be a catalyst for GameStop.
Ryan fucking Cohen, CEO of the year. I think strategic silence is RC's middle name. Yeah, in honor of him, I'll say mother effing.
It's like, nah, this person's a hater. You can just read all their posts. They totally are. They really don't want people trading the stock.
Just sell your GME. You can do it. Let's fucking go. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Wow, mama, I made it.
Thanks, everyone, for checking out the show. I'm Sean Fitzy.
I'm Echo.
I'm Polly.
And this is the Echo Chamber. It was actually a pretty quiet week. We were green again for the 4th time in a row. We got a date for our shareholders meeting, and the chairman was active on X, or kind of negative active. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but there was activity. As you can hear, Chuck is not with us.
He's somewhere in Mexico with no shorts on.
Yeah. yeah, he might be.
Probably, allegedly.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe he'll pop in tonight and say what's up.
That'd be cool.
That would be fun. It'd be fun if he was in like a nightclub doing shots or some shit. That'd be great. All right, yeah, he's not here. He's getting down in Mexico. Have fun, Chuck. We miss you. He'll be back next week. Yeah, that's what happens when you're an active man on the town and shit. You go do stuff like go to Mexico. Yep. I just hang out. So, Polly, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing all right. I miss Chuck already, but I'm looking forward to a 40% run on GME this week since he's gone. So,
bro, yeah. I feel it too.
Just gonna call that shot right now.
Yeah, get it on the books because I think we're kind of primed for that shit too. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it's been a little bit of a mixed week, honestly. But overall, good things for the most part. Today actually was our youngest daughter's 17th birthday, so that was fun. Had a little bit of a birthday party yesterday. Had some friends over, and we had a nice dinner today. And I think she liked all of her gifts. So yeah, it's been good.
That is cool. Yeah. They're getting old, man. My
yeah.
They're not all little. I have no more babies anymore. That's where I am with things, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. So all right. Yeah, you're probably how's life with no basketball?
I'm getting through it. The off season is a little bit slow. I didn't even watch too many playoff games for the NBA yet, but I'm a little bit of a sideline Memphis Grizzlies fan just because of Zach Edey, and they got swept in the playoffs, but they were the 8th seed anyway, so wasn't expecting too much. But they're going to be entering their off season now, and hoping that Zach Edey will have a really good second year next year. And he's the hardest worker I've ever watched play, so I have high hopes for him. But yeah, the off season is always a little bit slow, but Purdue has been really lighting it up on the transfer portal and is now, I think, the odds-on favorite to win it all next year. So managing expectations is now going to be the challenge. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used to be all about sports until I found GameStop. It was like I flipped on a dime, but Yeah, my Sacramento Kings, I couldn't even tell you if they made the playoffs. It's hard. I tried to do fantasy football and I just can't keep up. There's like so much with GameStop all the time. I can't ever
Yeah,
keep up.
I can understand. It can be quite consuming. So
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Echo, how's your week been, man?
It's been good. I'm doing well. Nothing too crazy on my end. It's been kind of a normal week. I managed to go to GameStop a couple times, the wife and I, but unsuccessful hunt for more Pokemon cards. They're hard to find. It's kind of crazy. We were talking about it. Really Pokemon cards, I remember being big from my childhood, from when we were kids, and it's kind of weird that they've just taken off again. Even now in 2025, we're all adults, and you still hear about kids who are just fiending for cards, and you can't find them on the shelves. So it really is just kind of crazy to see the legacy of, I guess, a company, or not necessarily a company, but an IP like Pokemon, and how it can just continue to grow. And I don't know, it's cool. No, it's been a good week. I'm good, just hanging out. I'm here. Hopefully Chuck is fine. I think it's a little weird. I just want to say I'm gonna put this out there. First he was sick for a couple weeks, and now he's in Mexico, and I don't know. I'm just saying he hasn't been around a lot. I don't know. Might need to check on him. You sure you're not
Yeah,
lying to us, Chuck?
I think he was
right.
riding roller coaster rides with Mozart and Dragon before that
Yeah.
too. So,
And then he was sick, and now he's in Mexico, and I don't know.
yeah, he's just living a good life. That's all. Well, not the sick
Yeah,
part.
no. I love you,
Yeah,
Chuck. You enjoy it for us. We'll hold down
yeah.
the fort.
So I like the how it's crazy how big Pokemon continues to be because I never got into it as a kid. I never played the games. I don't know why. It seemed to miss me. But it's just one more thing that we keep getting lines for GameStop on, and I love that. I like that the cards are bringing people into the stores now too. It seems like that's just getting more and more with all the drops. And then, Polly, you were talking about what'd you get? What'd you grab this week, Polly? You went to a GameStop, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to GameStop on Friday on my way home from Indianapolis and picked up another power pack. So that was my third one. And I got a 1999 Japanese Mr. Mime. So it was a PSA 8. So you're guaranteed an 8 or better on those. So it was a Japanese gym set, and it was a Sabrina's Mr. Mime. So that was a pretty cool card. I actually have another Japanese Mr. Mime that I already had from my childhood, but it was not from the gym set, so it wasn't one of Sabrina's Mr. Mimes. So it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that. I like that we got that going. We got things like the Switch 2 release that we got on Thursday. I got it on the list to talk about just because it was a pretty big event. I like that they got it in at the end of the first quarter. So
Yeah.
all these pre-orders, I think the quarter ends probably this weekend. It might be ending now because they're doing double pro week too, I believe, right? Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. Double Pro weekend did yesterday, if I remember right.
I also, if I remember correctly, I believe their pre-orders for the Switch 2, at least the online ones, their pre-orders were sold out hours. So I mean, it was a super quick sellout for the Switch 2.
I think it might have even been quicker than that.
Yeah, I know, because I think it
Because
started 11 Eastern, and by the time I went on lunch that day, so like within an hour or two, I think I was seeing we're already sold out.
yeah, I think it might have been more on the order of 2 minutes.
nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
because
well, I may be very wrong then.
I wasn't necessarily going to order one, but I did try to get on the website, and I couldn't even get on the website. It wouldn't even load. And by the time I finally got the website to load, they were unavailable.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that. So it was all over X. That was fun. Like, so I drove to work and there's a GameStop right by my restaurant, and
yeah.
that thing had a line out the door, and I was gonna take a picture, but uh, Bay Area chic. It wasn't. I don't know. People might have thought it was just a bunch of homeless people hanging out in front of my GameStop. So yeah, but no, it was just lines everywhere. I had non GameStop people posting lines of them sitting in GameStop, take line taking picture. Like it was just it was really cool shit.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it brings some nostalgia back for me, but also like these kids are getting their own like I don't know a lot of kids love Switches, so I don't know, probably a lot of
yeah.
excitement now too for them. Sorry.
Yeah, like I saw people who had brought their own TVs and like battery packs and Nintendo 64s and stuff, and they were playing video games online, and just man, that brought back some cool memories. And from the reports that I saw, like it seemed like the operational flow on the ground for people who were waiting in line was just so smooth. Like they had people just going through the line, handing out sheets of paper for people to pre-fill. Like, hey, fill out what options you want. Fill this out, and then when you get up to the register, you just hand that to them. They'll place the order, and then I think it was just a $50 deposit in store for that, and then
Huh.
you're done. And so I think for people who actually went to the stores, apart from waiting in line, it was a real smooth experience. So I think all things considered, if you waited in line, as long as there were enough allocations at the store that you went to for the people waiting in line, you probably ended up ahead versus anyone who was trying to get one online because of the just bottleneck of everyone trying to compete for bandwidth on the day and time of the release on Thursday.
Yeah, and I saw lots of other places having problems, like Target and I believe Best Buy
Right.
was having like all kinds of issues. So, and it seemed like the locations, like a lot of the ones I saw, that had more than enough for the people that were in the lines. So yeah, like you're saying, it seems like it was like more of a for sure experience to actually go out there and wait, other than having to wait in line. Honestly, like I feel like you could have showed up probably closer to the time they opened and still gotten there in time to get one. So
The store
uh,
we stopped at today, their manager was saying they had 7 available even yesterday. So even if you didn't get there the day of, you could have gotten some yesterday, but by today
Wow.
they were all gone. So in store, I feel like you definitely would have had a better experience and a better time getting what you wanted.
It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, that's cool. Just another good thing. I think the marketing around that was good.
Yeah,
Toast,
really well done.
yeah, Toast continues to do a good job with the Twitter account, the X account for GameStop. Uh, I don't know, he did some posts the night before, but I think they're doing really cool stuff. They're building something there, and that's our legacy business. I like that it's doing well, and then we got all this other cool shit to look at with whatever's happening with Bitcoin and companies doing well. I put a post out yesterday. GameStop, Ryan fucking Cohen. God, why couldn't I say that right? Ryan fucking Cohen, CEO of the year. GME is plus 152% and up $5.3 billion just over the last 52 weeks. It's been a good year. Last year at this time we were just probably a little bit over $10. Now it's like completely night and day, and how RC handled it is why we are where we are. Why we have we had $1 billion going into at this time last year, and now we have $6.3 billion, and our future is as bright as all get out. And it's because RC handled it. People want to say it's on the back of us, but we all know that volume wasn't us. That volume was not us when Kitty came back. It wasn't Kitty either. You were saying that Kitty just knew when to come back. So,
Right.
all right,
Yeah, like he was camouflaged essentially.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Waiting to pounce.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a cat
exactly.
joke.
I get it. All right. All right. So I guess like I feel like I need to talk about it because he fucking talked about it. Like he had me on his fucking stream for like 20 minutes yesterday.
Like he
Um
called you out specifically.
oh yeah, he didn't say my name, but he definitely called me out, and he called me a hater, and he spent like the first 20 minutes discussing our conversation. Wait, he deleted his post? It's just gone now.
Huh.
Interesting. All right, well, that's even weirder. So yeah, he deleted his post, which was his episode. He did Moas Mind Virus. So that's what he did on Thursday. And then I replied to that on, is it 25th Friday? I just want to get my, so I replied to that. So he did that Thursday or whatever. I saw it. So I saw it first thing Friday morning. I replied. And I just said, holy shit, people should buy, well, I said it wrong, but people should buy the top and sell the bottom. But what I meant to say is people should sell the top and buy the bottom. Why didn't I think of that? I said, you do you, but I'm not going to try and time this crazy market. Just hope you don't sell the top right before Kitty comes back. And then I put, and Kitty has never promoted flipping GME shares. What's an exit strategy? So,
And like, I mean, like the bottom line is like everybody is going to have to make some money at some point.
yeah.
But like, but I think for the average trader trying to flip shares in this market at this in on this timing, like unless you are really, really confident in your strategy and you really know what you're doing and you have a lot of volume to play with, it's a crazy, crazy strategy to try to do. Cause like I don't see the benefit unless you have volume to deal with and you really know what you're doing.
Well, and to be fair, I think he does know what he's doing.
Yeah, I think it does, and
He's
you know,
he's made a lot of money, I believe, doing it. I know in May. Yeah, like so I don't follow him so closely. I mean, like I know of him. I know that he made some money at the top, which is great, you know. And I don't even care about people fucking, you know, people do whatever they want with their money, right? Like if you wanna buy GME, that's fucking great. I love it. If you want to sell your GME, that's on you. But it's like promoting flipping GameStop when you got a big following really just is kind of like, I don't know. I guess. Well, I probably I need to probably stay off Twitter um, until like 30 minutes after the market opens because I see this shit and I'm like, I see people talk about selling GameStop and it frustrates me just on its own, and I need to be better about that. So that's on me, right? Like, so I kind of react quickly, and that's what I did with my response. But you know, everyone came after me saying, "Oh, that's not what he was saying." You know, he's talking about how, you know, Reddit turns on you. And fucking Reddit does. Like all of the OGDD people have left. And you know, they've all kind of, you know, turned away or left the community because they were pushed out because they talked about certain things that the community didn't like. You know, so it happens and they all end up, you know, kind of turning this route too. And the expert move is to, you know, start trying to time the market and play GME up and down. And I don't know, like he made it sound so simple. Like first off, they jumped on me about it because like, oh, he's giving an example. But the very next episode where he had me, you know, on his show for about 20 minutes, calling me a hater and everything. You know, he just said it. That's what he's doing. He's retiring from his job, and he's going to do a YouTube channel full time and trade GameStop and teach people how to trade GameStop. So that's good. That's, you know, you do you. You're teaching people how to sell GameStop. Yeah, I don't know. It's just what they all seem to go that route. It seems to always go that route. So I'm sure we'll be seeing some premium content soon. You know, like paid discords. It's kind of the way it goes. So
yeah, and I don't know. Like I hope it doesn't go that way because he's someone that I generally have a lot of respect for. But you know, like you and I were talking about, like I thought it was really cool at first when he started, you know, showing some of my own content on his show, and I was like, "Wow, Mama, I made it," you know.
yeah.
But then he never once made an attempt to properly attribute any of that content, and that was disappointing.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to just like say thanks, Polly.
Yeah, yeah, like especially when people's usernames appear in the corner of those screenshots, like it's not a lot of effort to keep track of where they come from, and I don't know, like it's a professional courtesy when you're using someone else's content to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a visual format like he is.
Yeah. And you
Um,
put in a lot of work on that stuff. I know you do.
yeah, yeah, and he has a huge following, so it's just I personally lost a lot of respect for that aspect of things when I saw him just not take that component of it very seriously. Like, hey, thanks for broadcasting my stuff, but you didn't ask for permission and you didn't attribute it. So, you know, you said someone put this together. You didn't say who, and you put it out to your audience. So, you know, you get the benefit of sharing the information, but you didn't, you know, tell people where you got it from. And that doesn't sit well with me.
Nah. No. And
Yeah, and the first time it happened, I was willing to write it off, but when it's a pattern, I don't appreciate it.
yeah. Yeah, fucking it's not that hard. I'll what we're talking about real quick is it's not that hard to give credit to people. I try really hard to. Like if I see something and I know it originated with someone, even if it's in the Discord, I try to tag them. It's not hard to quote tweet someone. I understand you might not get as many, or as much credit or whatever, but there's a lot of people doing good work that don't have a good following and they share their information up with us, and it's really not hard to let people know where you found it from, because there's a lot of,
Yeah,
it's not hard at all. So
yeah, yeah, and we share information on this show all the time. We really do our best to try to say where it came from when we can.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think my whole point with all of that, like first off, is I'm gonna try to start waiting a little bit longer to reply to people on X in the morning. But time in the market in general is not easy. I think that's my point, especially with GameStop. And then I just caution that anyone who is marketing themselves as an expert at trading GameStop, I don't know. I mean, there's a few people that do really well at it. Richard might be one of them, but the majority of them are not experts, because no one knows shit. No one knows what Kitty's gonna do. No one knows what RC is gonna. We think we know about the cycles. We think we understand how that's gonna go, but we don't. We don't, because otherwise we'd all be fucking rich. All right. All right. Well, good. I think we got that out of the way, unless you got anything in there else, Paulie.
Nah, fine.
All right. We can kind of move on to the chart a little bit.
Sure.
It wasn't. I hear, when I say chart now, I hear Ben say charts.
Cards.
It'll be in that little cut in I do.
Can I show a chart? Can I analyze a chart? I feel like it can analyze a chart, It's not a science. Can I look at the chart a little bit? Check out that chart though, huh? Can I do charts real quick?
Cards.
Look at that. Look at that line right there. I mean, no, we used to do charts. We used to do charts back in the day. I think it can be fun. Let me just get to the chart real quick. Wait, can I draw? Hold on. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Oh, I do. Right there. All right, look at that. Look at this. It's like jumping up and jumping down. That chart was just bullish.
But yeah, so we recorded Monday after market close. And here, let me just, right now it is 8:44 on the East Coast. GameStop is trading at $27.31. We did not get a Kitty tweet. We're down a little bit, I think 15 cents, whatever that is. Yeah, nothing much. Futures is down as well. Last I checked, yeah. Down $21, 0.38%. So not much. Typical Sunday night, nothing. Bitcoin is at $93,642. Flat a little bit. It pretty much
just doing a little bit of a back test right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good though. I mean, it had
Yeah.
let's see, it touched 95,758 on Friday morning. Looks like, yeah, Friday morning. It's
Mhm.
doing well.
Yeah, Bitcoin has some really nice bullish hidden divergence going on for a continuation. So that is really encouraging. So for those who aren't familiar, that's kind of where you have like your price is continuing higher and your oscillator, so in this case that'd be your RSI, is dipping lower before it bounces higher. So that is what we have seen on Bitcoin recently. So
Yeah, if it was GameStop's chart looks bullish as hell too. So I was gonna say if
yeah,
it was GameStop's chart, I'd be fired up. But just looking at GameStop's chart, I'm still fired up. We are 31.86% up from our low on Friday, April 4th of 2073. You know, just to be clear, like when I say when 18, I'm not calling out 18. I'm making fun of all the people who called 18 out when we were down here on April 4th at $20.73. There were many people out there calling for lows that just didn't make sense, and
right.
sure enough, we double bottom, and we closed the week out at 27.46, and we're up 31% since then, and the chart looks good.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and I'll say like $18 still is not technically invalidated. I think we probably need to break $30 to $32 on volume to invalidate that, but I don't think $18 is coming. I personally think that ship sailed on September 20th, and I've been beating that drum for what, 6 months now. But in order to invalidate it, I think we gotta break 30 on volume, which I think is coming before too long. But that's what has to happen in order for that argument to be settled. I think.
okay, I can get with that. We bounced.
Yeah.
Monday was bullish. The close was bullish. We gapped up Tuesday morning, and we were bullish basically till the open on Wednesday morning. We kind of ran and bounced off a trend that goes all the way back to the start of the year. So we'll see how we react to it. We went back down and tested that gap at 26. Well, the new low is 26.84. So we didn't technically fill that gap. That would have filled at 26.78. A few cents short. I don't know. Sometimes GameStop doesn't care, but I just kind of hate that they left that thing down there. We were down there a few more times too, but no, we bounced. So yeah, I don't know. We hitting that trend could send us down even further, but I don't see. I like that we're like living above 25 now. That thing's looking like support pretty solidly. We didn't even get down below 2070, like 2065, 2565. We haven't been down there for a little while now, a couple weeks. And 25 is just like that magnet. We don't spend much time above it. So any second above that is a good one. After Wednesday, price action was pretty shitty. Volume was falling basically to end the week for sure. We ended, I think, Friday was a 5 million share day. Yeah, 5.85 million. So, we hadn't had volume like that since before earnings, the day before, I believe. Yeah, so I don't know. It's that time, right? Like
Mhm.
OPEX is over. I don't know, there was a holiday on OPEX. We didn't get much OPEX settlement action. But we were still 2.54% green for the week. It's 39 million total. There was some good volume early in the week. And the week before was a holiday, but we closed out at 39.68 million for the week. So, nothing like we were back in February at 21 million and 19 million. and all that. But volume's coming down a little bit. We're heading into the most bullish month that GameStop has. Well, first off, the fact that we're up as good as we are and we're about to end April is very nice. Like, April is typically a very bad month for GameStop, and it is looking like we're about to have like be 23% up right now for the month.
Yeah, it's historically when GameStop usually makes like all of its yearly lows in most of the significant lows that I've looked at for the years that I've looked at. It's the low of the year is typically made around April.
Yeah, and it's usually we spend. Sometimes we get the March run, but usually like January till May is just sad. It's just not fun. We have our earnings, and then that's about it. So, a bullish April makes me very excited for May, and the fact that we're bullish, not because it's the time of the cycle, but because of what's going on with the company. This move is all happening since earnings, the Bitcoin announcement. We got through our bond offering. It took us less than a month. We got $1.5 billion. It took us less than a month to get almost to where we were before the bond offering was held. So, I think that's a pretty good trade-off. This is another thing I feel pretty good about with.
Yeah, I think what I'd really like to see is I'd like to see GameStop get back above 30 without any news. I think that's kind of been a theme in the past. GameStop breaking 30 on no news. I think that was even the subject of a Roaring Kitty video at one point. And I think actually the term he used on the video was GameStop rockets through $30.
All right, I'm taking a note because I want to add that.
Yeah. So that may have even been the title of the video that he had linked in his pinned tweet.
Okay.
If I recall correctly.
I'll find it. I bet you got a spreadsheet with like all of the there's a dialogue and shit somewhere you could just search. But yeah, that sounds like cool. I want to hear it. All right.
Yeah.
So, gap update real quick. We still got the one we bounced off of the double bottom. So 2058 to 2073. We opened a new gap below us slightly at 2678. That was open on Monday to Tuesday morning. I don't know. I don't know. We must have gapped up in the market. I don't know why Tuesday was so good. I have sometimes bad short-term memory. And then, we fill the offering gap officially at 2836. Our high last week on Wednesday was 2825. So, we're almost there on that thing. I'll definitely want to
close.
Yeah, sometimes that counts like a rejection. I'm always watching out for rejection right at the gap fill or somewhere very close to it. It's not, well, we didn't reject on volume, but I also want to see us, plow through that with volume. So we're up against a trend that goes back to the start of the year. We're right under that gap fill at 2836. And then, I don't know, I think if we can get through that gap fill with some volume, after about like 29.25, we have the high of 29.80 from March 25th. That's the last time we bounced off this trend. But it can get going really fast above that point. So yeah, like you're saying, let's break 30 with some volume, and it could really get going. We have that last gap up there at 31.77. The gap of where everything started going bad. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. We'll see if I got anything else. But do you have anything with the chart, Paulie?
Yeah, so kind of like you mentioned, after we recorded on Monday, we did gap up on Tuesday, but what we gapped over was actually the 100-day moving average, and we stayed above that for the rest of the week. So that was encouraging. And so we had gone above that line intraday a couple of times in the days before that, but we didn't get a close above it. and so we just gapped right above it and then stayed above it. We back tested it a couple of times, and we just kept going. Like you said, we did have to come back down after Wednesday, but one thing I touched on with a couple of posts this week, and I had a really busy week at work, so I didn't get a lot of posts out, but I did draw attention to some of the daily moving average crossovers. And so we had the 2050 crossover, which happened, I think that one was on Tuesday. And then the 20 got rejected by the 200 on Wednesday. So, we had a big move up, and then we kind of came back down. But then the 20 and the 50 daily moving averages kind of had a little bit of an airplane as it came back and back tested that. And so, like, where we kind of had that doji on Thursday, that was us getting that 2050 airplane action off of that soft rejection on the 20 and 200. And so, like, the 20-day moving average was in a channel between the 50 and 200-day moving averages, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then on Friday at the open, the 20-day moving average moved above the 200-day moving average. And so, if you remember, we got a great big candle at the open, and that is most likely why, because that was algorithmic trading recognizing that there was a bullish crossover of the 20-day and 200-day moving averages. And so yeah, we had really, really hot volume coming in at the open there, and it was because the 2200 is a really, really bullish indicator. So then we got the close where that one really became official. So we're getting some bullish alignment on those moving averages, and then just like whether you're looking at the 26 period moving averages or the 20 or the 50 or the 200, just like I don't care what period you're looking at on moving averages, whether they're exponential or simple moving averages right now, just like the chart has been getting repaired over the last 6 to 8 weeks. And it looks really, really good right now. And so, like, when you say 118, like that, the way the averages are aligning themselves right now, like I have to agree that, like, a sweep of a very low point right now is highly unlikely, just because if that were to happen, then it would undo, it would unravel all of that progress that has been made on these moving averages, and it would take a long time to fix that. Now, it could happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that says that can't go that way, and that repair can't happen quickly. But it just, I don't see that as a likely statistical probability, right? And so, just with the bullish orientation of all of these moving averages, it just, what that tells me is that it's more likely to get bid if it dips. That's all it really tells me. And so if we were to hit 26 or 25, we are much more likely to get those dips bought up before that ever becomes a concern at 22 or 20 or 18. Like, I know there are people out there who would absolutely love to trip over themselves and get a fourth mortgage on their house in order to just load the boat at $16 or $18. Like, that's an awesome scenario for anyone who has access to that kind of capital. But I'm just trying to be realistic here. Like, the way things are aligned right now, I just don't see it happening. Can I be wrong? Absolutely. But probability, just I don't see it. So
I don't need
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think So like we've been around with nothing is impossible with GameStop, and especially when it
Right.
comes to getting rugged by
Right.
GameStop. So I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
of course, nothing's impossible, but I don't see it. I don't see with what we just added. First off, they couldn't get us under 20. They tried.
Mhm.
Even with our offering in September,
96 million volume, and they couldn't do it.
yeah, exactly. They tried. So, and they've tried a few times, and it
Yeah.
hasn't happened. So, um,
Yeah.
and then we added $1.5 billion in the meantime and a Bitcoin trading strategy. So,
Right.
it's not seeming likely to me. Now we are at that, we're at a point right now where it could break down. If it breaks up, it's going to be a big breakup. It's going to be a breakout if it breaks up, especially,
Mhm.
if we get out over 30. So, it's an inflection point, and sometimes GameStop likes to sell it during these inflection points, but I just
Yeah.
don't see it. I don't see it going below 25 at this point, personally.
Yeah. There's a lot of coiled energy in the chart right now. And so all we really need is a catalyst, right? And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
that could be multiple catalysts at the same time. It could be one big one. We don't know. We don't know when it's coming. We don't know which one's coming first. But there are lots of bullets in the chamber, so to speak, right? And so it's sort of that roaring kitty meme. It's the standoff,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know who's gonna move first, but I'm here for it.
I hope they move at the same time. Yeah.
That'd be
I'm here
fantastic.
for I'm here for it too. I mean, so we're all waiting on the Bitcoin drop. Now the FUD is Ryan Cohen is not going to ever do anything again. It's been,
Right.
let's see, how long ago? Fucking March 26th. We announced that we're a Bitcoin company. That's when we announced it. And then we got the money, and we're like less than a month later, and it's already the same FUD, the same shit. So
Yeah. You want to know how many days ago earnings was?
yeah, go ahead.
33 calendar days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
that means that we're coming up on 35 calendar
Oh yeah.
days pretty soon from those trades and the trades the day after and the trades the day after that. And so, I mean, that was a lot of volume from earnings, the announcement of earnings,
Oh yeah.
the day of the bond offering, the pricing of the bond offering, and the T plus 35 from all of that is happening this week. Now we've had a lot of T plus 35s,
Yeah.
fizzle and turn into nothing. But that's a lot of volume that let's see, just those 3 days alone was 160 million shares.
Yeah, I did. I measured the whole thing out from the 25th to the 25th is 418 million volume. So that's a
Right.
shitload. That's a lot, especially if
Yeah.
you want to. The previous 25 was like, I don't even know. It's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just even like the day after earnings until the closing of the bond offering was 225 million shares.
Yeah. Yeah. From March 24th to February 24th was 88 million. So
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
month.
So I mean we're coming up on a potentially meaningful settlement period for a lot of shares that got moved. And that's happening this week. And there's some other sort of interesting things that I think are in there on the dates, and I don't want to unnecessarily hype a date, but
Yeah. Fuck.
I
We
know,
don't want
I
that.
know, I know, right? But May 1st is 147 calendar days since the time cover post.
Hmm.
It's also 69 trading days since the Futurama post.
Yeah.
It's it's 47 trading days since Ryan Cohen followed Bitcoin. It's
Well,
let's
so
see, yeah,
so
and
we could talk.
it's 7 trading days since he unfollowed Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could talk about that
Yeah,
now. So like, since
and four trading days since he got the Teflon wrapped. So
yeah, he was
yeah.
so he was pretty active. He's been active last weekend. So we talked about the deleted poop tweet and the RIP dumbass tweet getting deleted. So, but something else that I think we missed was that he deleted the Arlington, Virginia from
Right.
a GameStop thumbs up tweet. That's deleted too. We got
Yeah.
pointed to that one. I'd say about a month or two ago with the retweet. I think
Mm-hmm.
you coined that, but we got pointed to that tweet
Right.
when he was talking about masks.
Yeah, because
We talked.
he reposted that one on February 26th.
Okay. Yeah.
But then he deleted that one, we think, sometime this week, but we're not sure exactly when.
Yeah. So he retweeted twice the one about masks, right? And
Yeah.
then
And then he re-deleted it on March 4th.
yeah. Okay. And so then sometime. So I took a screenshot of his total tweets last weekend because it was 280. Might as well keep track of that now if he's deleting them. So we'll know. He tweeted once. We got the reply of the Teflon wrap, and we'll get into that. There is some, I believe, around it. So
2 thumbs up.
yeah, the thumbs up stuff. In the hat, I don't know.
The future looks bright.
Yeah. So there's 280. Yeah, there's 281 now. So he added one. So it was done before last week. He wasn't given a thumbs up. There was a thumbs up in the emoji though, right? Yeah.
He was giving 2 thumbs up in the photo.
In the photo, he was given thumbs up. In the deleted Arlington GameStop tweet where he's standing next to Crash Bandicoot, there was a thumbs up emoji in that tweet as well. So yeah, I don't know. He's deleting those. He unfollowed Bitcoin. He did that on Tuesday, so we did our show on Monday. So that happened after. It feels like forever ago now, but we hadn't really talked about it. So and then Bitcoin was the second account he followed, right? He followed Bitcoin Magazine first, and then Bitcoin, or is it?
Correct. He followed Bitcoin Magazine on the 20th of February, and then Bitcoin on the 24th.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
so now
I'm
he
trying to put
unfollowed.
together this like encyclopedia with significant dates.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it for sure.
It's gonna take a long time, but
Yeah.
yeah, those are on the list.
This isn't just him just fucking, oh, I need to delete some tweets. This isn't, he knows we're watching. Someone suggested that. Maybe he's just, doing some personal religious stuff and tweeting to all of us about it. That would be like the first time that he's done that on Twitter, maybe the second. A couple of things with his dad, I guess, would be considered personal that really aren't for us or shareholders or whatever. But like the vast, vast majority of tweets are some way, somehow, either joking with us or maybe hinting. Maybe they're all hinting at something to us. But I refuse to let someone tell me that he's just fucking around. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he unfollowed Bitcoin on Tuesday. There was the tinfoil about the tombstone being an announcement in the finance world. That's what a tombstone is. It could be a purchase. So maybe he's saying he was done buying Bitcoin. I don't know. Like how we got here when I was talking about. I don't know. There's a lot we don't know. But hey, that's what we're all trying to figure it out. I'm trying to think what he would have bought at. Like there are some good chances if he was buying last weekend, right? Let's see, Saturday, Tuesday. But yeah, in the last 2 weeks, if he was doing some buying, he could have gotten some real good buys. Like he could have gotten that 7.4, 7.41, like we were talking about on around the 9th. The question comes around: would he have to file and all that stuff? And I
So
think. Go ahead.
so I have a working theory on a couple of things that could be going on with that. And first of all, I will say the more the natives get restless on GameStop being silent on their Bitcoin purchase or non-purchase, as it were, the more zen I think I get. So
Okay, I like that.
so yeah, so I think I'm not concerned one bit about the fact that they haven't said anything, because first of all, I trust Ryan Cohen and the board, and I think that they're going to do whatever makes the most sense. And ultimately, I trust them. But at the same time, I have theories. So, so I've tried to sort of like game this out in terms of what if I were in Ryan Cohen's shoes, what would make the most sense? I've got a $6.25 billion war chest, and I can deploy some amount of that into Bitcoin. And I personally, Paul, am very bullish on Bitcoin, and if I think Ryan Cohen is too, because I think that he's seen this coming for a long time, and the time is right, because not only is it right in terms of GameStop getting into it, but it's right in terms of GameStop can be a catalyst not only for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin can be a catalyst for GameStop, so they can serve each other in meaningful ways.
Oh yeah.
But also, I think GameStop can, through strategic silence right now, gain other allies in the space, because they're not the only ones that are trying to enter the Bitcoin arena right now. And
Yeah. We could talk about that.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think strategic silence is RC's middle name. That's
right,
that's
yeah,
what I think is, because he's the king of strategic silence. But yeah, you're talking about
absolutely.
other characters or other people showing up in the game. Do you want to talk about, is it CEP? Is that the
Sure,
name? Or
yeah. So I think it's Capital Equity Partners. I think is what that one stands for. So Capital Equity Partners is going to be merging with 21
yeah,
new
XX1, right?
yeah,
XXI.
XXI, yeah, Roman numerals for 21, which is obviously a nod to the 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist.
Oh,
And that's going to be uh, chaired by Jack Mallers, uh,
yeah,
who's
that's
who's
Twitter
currently
Jack.
running. He's currently running Strike, which is a Bitcoin payment service, and so
And then
21 is
he's being the owners though are Tether, like
yeah,
yeah.
Tether has an ownership stake there, and yeah, there's basically there's a large group of big money behind that acquisition, and they've announced that they are going to debut 21 with 42,000 Bitcoin, which would be enough to make them either the second or third largest corporate holder of Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's a
You
lot.
know, yeah.
It's like
So
$5 billion, right?
yeah, so that's a pretty big splash.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the chart right here. So just the news, right? Like they didn't buy anything. So CEP Cantor Equity Partner is a SPAC, right? Special whatever. I was gonna try
Oh
to.
yeah, Cantor, not Capital. Yeah, Cantor
Yeah.
Equity Partners. It's owned by like Cantor Fitzgerald, I think is.
Ooh, I like that
Yeah,
last name. That maybe
yeah.
it's maybe it's a family member. Maybe.
Well, and so like Cantor Fitzgerald, you may know, has connections to Howard Lutnick.
I don't.
So he's the chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald,
Okay.
and Howard Lutnick He is chummy with the Trump administration.
Oh, well,
And so if you're reading between the lines there, then you've kind of got a pro Bitcoin, pro crypto administration with a guy who is the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald in the inner circle there, who is part of the buying power of this organization. And you just kind of follow the strings there. It doesn't take a genius to kind of put together that this transaction is, let's say, greenlit.
yeah.
And people in high places want this to succeed.
Yeah, I mean the new SEC chair, right? Didn't he just get sworn in today, or I don't know.
This last week, I think, or two,
Yeah.
within the last 2 weeks.
He had some big. He's a big Bitcoin guy. I'm really bad at following news outside me even knowing that the new SEC chair got sworn in. I'm pretty proud of that. So, his CEP ran 266% off that news. By the way, not buying the Bitcoin, just saying they were going to buy the Bitcoin. It's
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
interesting because they're not going to buy
Right.
for a while.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't know what their timeline is on that. That's just them saying, "Hey, this is what our plans are. This is what we're doing." CEP is a SPAC, and they're going to be merging with 21. And so
Yeah.
that's them forecasting, like, "Hey, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do."
Yeah.
You can buy shares of CEP already because it's a publicly traded SPAC, and the merger will become official later. Yada yada yada. Right. So
Yeah.
so all that to say, I think there are two types of Bitcoin maxis out there, right? You got your sailors and Jack Mallers of the world who are like, I'm going to buy the top forever. I can
Yeah.
just dilute indefinitely. People are going to buy my 0% convertible bonds into infinity because Bitcoin is power, Bitcoin is energy, Bitcoin is wealth, and it doesn't matter what price I buy at. It's which is fine. Like that's
Yeah.
all that can all be true, while at the same time GameStop is in a very different position because they are coming from a legacy business that has, I don't know if baggage is the right term, but
Yeah.
they are they are carrying baggage in that they have a lot of history on the chart. They have shorts, they have swaps, they have
Yeah.
all sorts of history. And so they have an opportunity in that regard to make their splash into Bitcoin in a way very differently from anyone else. Now, once they have entered the Bitcoin arena, things may be different. But when they make their very first announcement and purchase, I think strategic silence makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and so what I mean by that is you are required to publish an 8K if you have material information that would influence how investors choose to invest in your company. That's not up for debate. I mean, I think everybody agrees on that. But there are exceptions to when you have to disclose that, chiefly if you have an ongoing action. And so what I mean by that is if you are actively engaged in an action that would be jeopardized by the disclosure of that information, then you do not have to disclose that information until you are done doing that thing. And so let's just say hypothetically that GameStop is buying like $100 million a day in Bitcoin through over-the-counter partnerships with one or more brokers that are bound by non-disclosure agreements, and they're not allowed to talk about it. And I mean, if I were Ryan Cohen, I would have such an ironclad agreement that if that broker let it slip that they were working with them, then I'd be getting my Bitcoin for free from them. I don't know if that
Yeah.
would hold. I don't know if that would hold, but I mean, I'd have my lawyers draw it up so tight that if they even let anything slip, there would be so much hell to pay, because secrecy is everything in this. Because like when strategy buys, or when 21 buys, or anyone else buys, everyone's like, oh well, yeah, that's fine, like that's what they do. But when GameStop enters the arena, it is going to trap shorts in a way that no one has ever seen before. And I don't think people are ready for what's coming.
No, they're
Right?
not. And
And
yeah,
and we've talked about it before. But it's just like the the sheer magnitude of what they can do here is just, it's mind blowing. And so, like, let's just say, for argument's sake, that they're going to be buying $5 billion worth of Bitcoin. That would absolutely be a material disclosure. But if they're
yeah,
only doing it like $100 million at a time, those individual transactions are not material. And if it's 50 or 100 million at a time, or even 200 million, individual transactions are not material. And if it's an ongoing action, and they have a plan, they have a schedule, they have an agreement with one or more brokers, and they're executing that, and they have it like kind of written out, and it's an agreement, and confidentiality is key, then they would and should be able to maintain that confidentiality until it is complete, or at least until a majority of it is complete, and then they can pull the trigger on that 8K. So
yeah.
that's kind of my working theory on that, is
I
that
like it.
I do think that they are actively buying, that they have been buying for some time now, but I don't think that they're just aping into it all at once. I think that they're dollar cost averaging in, and that they're being smart about it.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. I would hope. And RC, if we've learned anything over these, he's not crazy. He said YOLO, but he's not a
Right.
YOLO type guy. So yeah, I looked into the CEP thing, and they're not gonna buy for like 6 months. So we got everybody, wanting to throw RC under the bus because he missed 2 days of a run last week. We don't, like, there's a lot more of this. Like Mozart and Ben were saying, there is no top. That's how most people look at, well, the bullish people on Bitcoin. That's how they look at it. So RC is being smart with it. I trust he's doing what's right with it. I see people posting that the Bitcoin bros are already impatient and and selling their positions. That's all. It's fun. I mean, it really is. Like, that's putting them to the top of. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I don't care. I don't care if the Bitcoin guys are fed up and already expecting more. Sailor buys crazy times. He buys all the time. So maybe that's just what they're expecting. I got news for you. Ryan Cohen is not that person, and he will not be like screaming from the mountaintops every move he makes. That is for sure. So
Yeah, and he's told us as much.
yes, yeah. And he doesn't tell us much, but he did say that. Judge man by his what he does or something like that. It was at the shareholder. It was the same time he
Yeah,
told us to buckle up way back.
right.
Way back when. So yeah, I don't know. Again, things are looking good. We got our shareholder meeting, things that kind of happened because we've kind of been on this a little bit already. But the proxy statement came out on Thursday after close. So
Oh yeah.
it was a switch thing Thursday morning, which is exciting. And then we follow that up with the proxy statement. So we're gonna have our shareholder meeting on June 12th. That's a Thursday. I'll say it now. Don't get hyped, guys. And I'm telling myself this too. every year this shareholders meeting, there's a lot. I can't stop myself from it. This is going to be the year though. But like nothing happens there. The only thing that's ever happened at that shareholder meeting, bad news. Not bad news. We got an offering in 20, and that was hyped date, and my biggest rug was that shareholder meeting in 2021. But even last year's was brutal. We talked about it last week, but it was scheduled right around the same time. I think it was on the 13th last year. Same Thursday that we're looking at this year. We got canceled because of, I don't know, we fucked up the servers. I don't know. It was all crazy.
Overwhelming demand.
Yeah, the whole music hell. I was having flashbacks of it again. Chuck posted something about it, and I was like, I remember it. And then so earnings will probably be at least scheduled 2 days before that, or right around that Tuesday. So, and that's just kind of how it goes. I think one time they've done earnings, but usually they're not the same day. Yeah, I don't know. We got some interesting information with that proxy statement. We got people writing letters to the board demanding that board members start buying their shares. I don't know. I won't get into that too much, except for like if you're gonna write a letter, spell check it first. These guys make the whole community look stupid sometimes. So, but what we did find is Alan, not we, somebody else. It wasn't me.
Yeah, this was Seymour Butts 741 posted this. Yeah,
Sweet.
Sunny D, Seymour Butts 741.
Nice. Oh, okay. I know Sunny D. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, Sunny D posted it. Alan put his whole position into a margin account as well. So, Paulie, you were saying where did we find it? Because it wasn't like
so it was in the proxy statement. It was in the 14A in the shareholder report that was published on Thursday, and so this was not in a separate filing. It was just sort of buried in the proxy statement. And it was just sort of it was in a footnote. It was footnote number 7 at one point. It just says, as of April 21st, 2025, 572,464 shares beneficially owned by Mr. Atal have been deposited into a margin account with Charles Schwab & Co. And then the rest of the language just mirrors the same general language from when Ryan Cohen put his shares into a margin account with Charles Schwab. And then when you go back and look at the Form 4 that Alan Atal put 100% of his position into this margin account. So, he is, essentially following Ryan Cohen's lead is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And putting his entire position into a margin account. Now, we don't necessarily know what his exact intentions are, but we do know that there was a recent change made to the board policy that allows board members, executives of the company to pledge up to 50% of their position as collateral. So interesting to note. And, he could take out a margin loan and buy Bitcoin or do whatever else he wants. He could take out a margin loan and buy MicroStrategy. I don't know. It would be interesting to see what he does with it if we even find out. But he's able to do that, and whatever he's doing, it is along the same lines of what Ryan Cohen has done.
Yeah. He put so he's got more in his margin account now than RC does.
Yeah. So he put a much higher percentage of what he owns, because Ryan Cohen only put like 59.8% of his position, but Ryan Cohen's was just under 5% of all total shares outstanding. So very, very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see what they're doing. I totally think they got something cooking. They obviously had to. They didn't. RC put it in his Form 4, I think is what it was, or maybe it was, I don't know, whatever. He put it in a file and he slid it in there. They slid it in for Alan, but I think they're legally required to tell us that they're doing this. I don't know why, but I'm just saying, like, otherwise they probably would keep it to themselves. But that's a lot of money. I'm very interested to see what their plan is.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's something though. I'm just, So everyone, it just, I know we say this a lot, but be patient. We just got our money. RC's cooking. The whole world seems like it's watching us. Everyone's waiting for RC to make Bitcoin. If he messes it up or whatever, we already know the blood and the negativity that'll come from that, and whatever it is what it is. But I'd much rather RC make the right choices and take his time. So
For sure.
yeah. So okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And yeah, I guess just other stuff on the subject of the board and the board elections. So for anyone who wasn't aware, the elections are we're only electing 5 board members,
Oh
but we
yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
knew, but we already knew that Yang Shu was being released from the board from the annual report. So that had already come out in the that would have been the 10K in March. So um, that that was not necessarily news, but I guess it is sort of news that that seat is not being filled. So Nat was appointed to the board in November. I guess sort of as probably a crossover to fill Yang's seat,
Yeah.
to have a little bit of time with both of them on the board, and then Nat will be up for election along with everyone else. But someone also noticed today that Larry has removed the mention of GameStop and Grove from his profile on X, but Larry actually addressed that directly, and he just said it makes sense for him to not mention individual companies by name because he's involved with so many companies, and he didn't want to single any out, especially since he's involved with a lot of like privately traded companies, and so he
I
just
like
thought
that he did that.
yeah. I thought it was really appropriate that he addressed that head on,
Yeah, that was awesome.
and yeah, like I love Larry.
Yep.
He's really just a straight shooter. He doesn't leave people guessing on a lot of stuff, and unless
Yeah.
he's just trying to mess with us maybe, but
Yeah. In honor of him, I'll say mother effing Larry Chang. I'll keep it clean for him because
yeah.
yeah. So all right.
But no, he's great. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, and then I guess as far as Nat goes too, I will say I my personal opinion is I think it's appropriate for shareholders to want and expect him to buy shares. So if you feel so inclined that you need to write the board and express your desire for him to buy shares, be my guest. Please spell check it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um, but the board policy does give them 5 years to do it. So
Yeah.
he's not in violation of any policies by not having bought any at this point. So he hasn't done anything to prove that he doesn't belong, and he's been placed on the board for a reason. So that said, I trust Ryan Cohen. I trust his judgment, and I know that he wouldn't have put him on the board lightly. So I do fully expect Nat to put his money where his mouth is and comply with board policy. And if I were in Nat's shoes, I would want to do that at the best possible cost basis. So I don't know what his plan is. I don't know if there's some sort of a gentleman's agreement. Maybe it's like, hey, you're late to the party here. Maybe you have to wait until we're above 30 to buy in. I don't know. I don't know if that's the game here, but we'll see what his plan is. and I trust the process.
Yeah, I do too. All right, well, I think we're probably gonna have to wrap it here. Looking forward to Chuck coming back. We miss you, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Do you got anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to add, Polly?
No, I think that about covers it. Yeah. Hope you get home safe, Chuck. Enjoy yourself in Mexico. Don't party too hard.
Yeah, yeah, or
Yeah.
do. Yeah, we'll see. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
make it back next week. Thanks for the sacrifice.
Yeah.
We're gonna run. Yeah.
Diviértete.
So,
Have
all
fun.
right. Thanks, Polly. Thanks, Echo. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week. All right, bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a good night. I like how you said thanks, Chuck, and he's not even here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you thanked him for not being here?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chuck.
We have to thank him for the God candles we're about to get this week.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
The sacrifices he made in Mexico. Poor him.
How can I love you, baby? When your body keeps on moving, say wait till I squeeze you. Oh. Maybe then you'll start to grooving. Come on, girl, give it to me, baby. Give it to me.
I don't know, man. He came in the Discord and he was in there for a second. And I mean, there was a lot of pegging talk back then. But he was in and out of that motherfucker. Those were the days, man. There was probably like, I don't know, 60 of us in there. And not really that many active people, but lots of object bets, I guess. All right.